Today we are gonna pit the two most iconic snakes that we have together. Of course, the green anaconda, like my girl Ivy here, who's getting so big, so heavy, and so amazing. And then we're gonna go up against the amazing reticulated python. Who will be the champion between two iconic snakes, like an anaconda and a reticulated python? Of course, the anaconda is from the South American Amazon. It's actually in the boa family. It's the boidae family. We obviously have live young because Ivy had a bunch of babies, 40-something babies just a year ago. To me, they're one of the most personable animals out there, but they are definitely an apex predator, one of the biggest animals in South America. These guys are true predators down there, absolutely amazing. But again, to me, they have this curiosity, this amazing personality. I absolutely love them to death. It's going to be interesting to see the attributes between the anaconda and the reticulated python. I may be a little biased because I love my girl Ivy, but it's not going to be just up to me who will prevail in this amazing, iconic snake battle. Next. And then, of course, there's the reticulated python. Now, you got to remember that the anaconda is usually the heaviest bodied snake on the planet when it comes to the nature, right? You very rarely would find a reticulated python in the wild that actually would outweigh the largest wild-caught anaconda. You know, anacondas have been known to be 300 pounds in the wild. Typically, a reticulated python isn't 300 pounds in the wild. That being said, there are rare exceptions, and in captivity, you certainly could have a reticulated python that's as heavy as a anaconda. But in a nutshell, let's just say that the anaconda is the heaviest bodied snake in the world. Anacondas only get about 18 foot as a maximum length. Most are 16 foot or under, whereas reticulated pythons are very common to exceed 20 foot. Gemma here, which is a big reticulated python, not our largest. Juliet is our heaviest, but of course Lucia is our longest at over 20 foot, 2 inches. These guys can exceed 20 foot and sometimes get up to 25 foot. Yes, I know some of you guys are like, oh no, retics will get 30 foot. There's never been a 30 foot reticulated python, unfortunately. We did a video on the fact that there's never been a snake over 30 foot ever caught in the wild, but 25 foot reticulated pythons are pretty good. And these guys are from Southeast Asia. You're gonna find them in the Philippines, you're gonna find them in Indonesia, and they are a widespread animal, much more widespread than the anaconda when it comes to the geography of where they're from. But reticulated pythons are giant animals. Now these guys are a little bit more agile than anacondas as well. They love to climb trees, they're always on the go, they're curious, and now that they're being bred in captivity, they're really amazing animals. Back when I was a kid and there was only wild-caught reticulated pythons, whoo dog, they were a handful, there's no doubt about it. But now you can see animals like Gemma that are probably like F3, F4 out of the wild, actually become super domesticated and super docile. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break this down into 3 categories. It's gonna be myself and the crew are gonna decide. The first category is gonna be coolness, just coolest factor. Anaconda versus reticulated python. The second is going to be ease of care. If you wanna keep one, is the anaconda easier to keep or is the reticulated python? And then the last category, I love this one, badassery. That's right, who's the most badass animal in the wild? So it's gonna be really interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and start answering these questions right now. When it comes to coolness factor, to me, a green anaconda is definitely the animal, right? Because everyone knows what a green anaconda is. I mean, you've seen J-Lo, you've seen the movie Anaconda, you've seen the remakes that were horrible. A green anaconda is iconic and every single person on the planet seems to know what a green anaconda is.
I mean, talking about the coolness factor, just look at this animal, look at the pattern, look at the color. I mean, don't get me wrong, anacondas are cool, green, yellow. Retics, literally, you can get them in all different colors, all different patterns, and that in itself is cool.
It's a green anaconda. They're cool, sure. They get giant. They're the heaviest body snake on the planet, getting up to like 300 plus pounds. Is really all that cool? I mean, if I wouldn't have worked with Ivy, who's such a puppy dog, you know, a lot of them could be a little bit nippy. Poop all the time. They're not that cool snakes. They're just big and heavy and stinky.
Reticulated pythons are super cool animals. I mean, they really are. The fact that they come in so many colors is what makes them really cool as well. They're very intelligent animals as well, which makes them really interesting animals. But again, you can get these guys in pieds, black, yellow, orange, purple. I mean, they come in so many different colors and flavors now, it makes them really intriguing, right? So there's no doubt that when it comes to just a coolness factor, when it comes to looking at an animal, a reticulated python can really be a strikingly beautiful animal. And anacondas, there's really not a lot of mutations. There's a T negative and a T positive albino, and that's pretty much it when it comes to the anacondas. So reticulated pythons definitely have a one-up when it comes to the actual looks part and mutation part. But when it comes to the coolness, as far as just hanging out with one, I don't know. I'm still an anaconda fan.
Look at this. It's a freaking anaconda. I mean, it's like the most well-known snake ever. So I mean, just that alone is cool. I could tell someone like, yeah, I have a retic, but the chances of them knowing what a retic is, unless they're like a snake person, probably not. But I can tell everybody like, yeah, I have an anaconda, and they're they'll be like, that's crazy.
Reticulated pythons, when it comes to the coolness of them, they are the longest snake, typically reaching about 25 feet. You know, the longest one ever, of course, there's always stories of, you know, 35 feet and this and that. In captivity, I think it was like 25, 26 feet, something like that. I don't know, but just the coloration alone, like Jay said. I mean, retics come in so many different colors and stuff, and I'm gonna show you a couple right now. One, look at Gemma. Look how gorgeous she is. The yellows, the tan. Look at Perdita. Perdita is a motley golden child cow. She is black and white, freckles all over. And then look at El Machino. But El Machino is almost the same color. Oh, El Machino is almost the same color. Anyway, so he's a Machino reticulated python. He's absolutely gorgeous too. And their personalities are so good. Anacondas, they're all just the same. Yeah, there might be an albino one here and there, but like, it's just a yellow anaconda. Not retics.
Don't be mad at me. I closed Wanda's cage and it fell and broke.
Like the glass broke?
Next category is going to be the ease of care. If you decide you want to keep these ones as a pet, which again, you got to remember, these are giant animals. Anacondas and reticulated pythons, the two largest of the constricting snakes on the planet. So you definitely don't want to keep these if you're not prepared. And both of them take a lot of work. But I'm not going to lie, as much as I love anacondas, and I do, there is no doubt that anacondas are more work. They need more water. They like to poop a lot. They're just a little bit more dirty. They musk a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, reticulated poops, you've seen them with Lucy and Juliet, how big they can be and how they can destroy the cage. But they only destroy the cage every now and then. This girl destroys her cage pretty much on the daily. I have a feeling I know what Mike's answer is going to be too.
You guys already know, when it comes to the care of this big girl, all she does is eat and poop. And pee. And poop. And pee. And poop. And pee.
Okay, now, this is not easy, but easier than an anaconda, I will say. I mean, I would much rather clean up this size retic than clean up any anaconda, honestly. Even a baby, time and time again. Anacondas also musk so much. Let me tell you, retics, I've been musked on, but like, not like an anaconda.
No doubt, that's a slam dunk when it comes to reticulated python. Now, don't get me wrong, when you have an 18, 19, 20 foot reticulated python, I don't care how good they are, it's still gonna be quite a mess when they go to the bathroom, they shed out. So they can definitely wreck a cage, there's no doubt about it. But like I mentioned with the anaconda, anacondas typically will mess their cage up almost daily, or at least 2, 3, 4 times a week. You're gonna have to do a breakdown of their cage. We literally have to drain this water almost every single day because there's always poop in it. Whereas reticulated pythons, you know, once they blow up their cage, typically you have 2, 3, 4 weeks where they're pretty good. You have to change their water off, but that's just about it. So from an ease of care standpoint, reticulated pythons definitely have the one up.
They poop and pee and poop and pee. She sheds out, and then you feed her, and then she poops and she pees and she pees and she pees. She poops and she pees and she pees. And you get the point. It's always a mess that I have to clean up, and me and Connie do it every single day, and I don't want to do it no more. I love her, but no.
It's an anaconda. It's like basically impossible, really, to just take care of. And I never want to do it. I have literally no jealous bone in my body that Mike gets to do this every single day. They musk, they stink. Not for me.
All right, badassery in the wild. Now again, anacondas are the apex predator down in the Amazon. But there's also jaguars and there's caiman. But you know, anacondas actually eat caiman. I don't know if they would ever win the battle with a jaguar because a jaguar is a pretty bad animal. But they certainly will eat almost anything else. Unfortunately, they love to eat my little guy, Javi, the capybara. So we definitely have to keep Ivy and Javi away from one another because we definitely don't want them coming in. But they eat anything. They'll eat fish. They'll eat anything they can basically get around. And they're absolutely badasses in their wild. There's no doubt that anacondas are pretty darn bad when it comes to that, but are they as bad as retics? Let's find out.
Talking about badassery in the wild, badassery. Can we even say that in the podcast? I mean, dude, it's a freaking retic. What do you mean? Catch bats, it'll hide out, get you, and it will just be badass. The longest one ever found on record was over 25 feet long. That's badass.
All right, now I can't lie. When it comes to the wild, they are pretty badass. And what I mean by that is, one, they are designed different than any other snake. Their eyes are on the top of their head, and their nose is positioned more up, so they can just sit there like a crocodilian with their eyes and their nose out of the water, and then whatever comes to the water edge, boom, and they hit it, and then they eat it, and they swallow it whole. Caiman, and they're eating other anacondas even. They're eating fish and arapaima and all sorts of crazy things. So when it comes to the cool factor in the wild and the badass, they are pretty badass.
Well, badassery in the wild, reticulated pythons, they're pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie to you. We've actually seen them in the wild in a place called Laban Bajou, a little town called Astana Ular. Absolutely incredible. See reticulated pythons in the wild. Now these guys can get huge in the wild. One thing I will give a reticulated python when it comes to just kind of their prowess in the wild is the fact that although rare, they will occasionally consume human beings. Best of my knowledge, I've never heard of an anaconda consuming a human being. That's not to say it couldn't have happened at some point deep in the Amazon or something like that. I don't know of any specific situations where I've heard of an anaconda eating a human being. Whereas reticulated pythons, I'd say once a year, twice a year, you see a news story where someone goes missing in Indonesia or the Philippines, and sure enough, they find a snake shortly thereafter, and inside of them is a human. I tell you, they definitely are pretty badass predators when it comes to that. There's no doubt about that. You know, it's a hard battle between an anaconda and a retic when it comes to just how badass they are in the wild.
Okay, now if we're talking about badassery in the wild, I mean, it's an anaconda. It doesn't get more badass than this. I mean, they're so badass, they eat everything. Cat, deer, Mike. Like, they will literally eat everything. And I mean, it's also just badass. Like, I look badass and I'm not even in the wild right now.
Badass is this badassery of reticulated pythons in the wild.
Yes, like we said,
they do get giant. They typically don't get as big around because they only get to eat so often, and then we feed them on a schedule. They're still taking down deer and creatures from Indonesia, and like including the bats. They sit at the front of the caves, and with bats.
I said that.
When bats fly in and out, they eat them. And then also, I mean, they have been known to eat people.
I said that. And Brian said that too. So
I don't always have to go last then. I mean, just the pure size, the colors. Because I mean, a normal or wild type retic is absolutely beautiful and stunning too. I think even more so than the anaconda.
I said that too.
Nuh-uh.
Just give it up, Mike. Just.
Anyways, they're badass.
Mike, you good or?
So when it comes to me, the 2 out of 3 categories, I think the anaconda actually wins. So to me, overall, I think the anaconda is the kind of coolest animal out there when it comes to the 2 largest constrictor, pitting it against a reticulated python. But I want to know what you think down in the comments. Is it a reticulated python or is it a green anaconda? If you're down there, make sure to smash that like button.
Ow!
Oh, you're gonna get the blood on you.
No, I'm not. Mike, I'm not.
You're gonna get the
Mike,
blood
get
on
the
you.
head.
No.
Mike, my head.
Oh, she's
Mike,
got
get my head. Mike's got the blood. Oh, Michael!
Jay's got the blood touch.
Mike, help me. What are you doing? Mike, please pick up the head. Okay. Retics, it doesn't get better. They're cooler, awesomer, more badass in the wild,
Bigger,
and way easier to take care of. Maybe not Lucy, but
she's 21 feet long, dude. There's not much cooler of a snake than the ones that get 20 feet.
Mike,
and yeah, Lucy,
Mike,
she's Mike. Jay,
Mike.
Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, get her. Again, the colors of them are cool. They eat everything in the wild, so that's pretty badass. We think retics take this one. We're on the same team.
Retics number 1.
Brian can have anacondas by himself.
Well, when it came to the crew, they picked reticulated pythons. I fell on the side of anacondas. I want to know from you guys who was right. Was it a reticulated python or was it an anaconda? Definitely go down and make that comment. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, there's a playlist that you can watch all kinds of videos. You can also hit that subscription button. It would mean a lot to me. Also, hit that like button while you're down there. Have a wonderful day, Reptile Army. Remember, she's such a beast.
She's just so strong now.